Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my latest Star Wars The Old Republic docu-short video. In today's video, I'm going to be exploring the true endgame of Star Wars The Old Republic, this endgame not being your traditional raid or operation style of content, but an overarching system that pits guild versus guild in an everlasting war for galactic dominance. This system enables guilds to utilize their strengths in order to place first on the top of server leaderboards, and thus establish themselves as the most powerful force on their respective server. This unique and extraordinary system is known traditionally as Galactic Conquest. So with that said, sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy yet another Star Wars The Old Republic video. To start, what is Conquest? Conquests are rotating weekly objectives that encourage players to compete with guilds of equal measure in an effort to obtain valuable gear and crafting resources. Conquest objectives offer to players unique rewards alongside means of obtaining boosts to various XPs, making Conquest a great bolster to the traditional leveling process. Players can receive access to exclusive mounts and skills that pose an advantage to the victor. These mounts increase movement speed on guild-controlled planets, whilst the aforementioned skills enable players to defeat PvE planet-side commanders that drop bountiful loot used to upgrade guild capital ships. The capital ships themselves, known as guild flagships, are the heart and soul of any progressing Conquest guild. The first objective of most guilds, therefore, is to fully unlock the various sections of the guild flagship. This is done via encryptions and schematics that drop from the PvE commanders mentioned earlier. These encryptions and schematics can be used to purchase various sections around the flagship, including the engineering deck, hangar deck, crew quarters, and the command deck. All these are decoratable and fully customizable, enabling guilds to uniquely customize their flagship to fit the guild's various purposes, whether it be PvP, PvE, or otherwise. Once unlocked, these various sections provide extra guild nodes that enable the use of guild perks. The more nodes any one guild has, the more perks that guild has access to. These perks range from crafting bolsters to speed boosts, and even offer unique abilities for use in operations, i.e. Operations Fortitude, which increases the base health of every player while in an operation. Additionally, players can obtain further vantage by leveling up their guild via Conquest and doing daily tasks. These levels then provide unique boosts to legacy, XP gain, and reputation gain, thus allowing the guild to better compete on the recruitment front. For example, a level 40 guild will provide a 15% XP boost to players, whilst a level 6 guild will only provide 10%, therefore making the level 40 guild more appealing to newer players. As for Conquest itself, Conquest is achieved through various Conquest objectives, which come in a variety of forms spanning daily, weekly, and repeatable objectives. These Conquest types are then arranged into various different contents within the game that enables players of any interest to contribute to a given guild's Conquest progression, whether said interests are PvP, PvE, or even crafting. The first and most common form of Conquest as conducted by guilds is the PvE variant of Conquest, known as Galactic Rampage. Galactic Rampages provide a unique experience that defines guild vs guild activities within the Star Wars The Old Republic MMO. Rampages are split into two sections, the first being to kill 25 enemies on a set planet, followed by an additional 50 NPCs on that same planet, a total of 75 kills. This can be chained across multiple planets and can gather tens of thousands of Conquest points per run, making Rampages one of the more farmable and competitive elements to a Conquest's lineup. Guilds therefore often sponsor Rampage runs in an effort to produce the most amount of Conquest points in the least amount of time. Guilds can further utilize their guild flagships to better hit the Rampage objectives also. With assistance of the Summons command provided to all guilds with a guild flagship, officers and members with set permissions can transport full parties of players planetside and effectively mass farm enemies with greater numbers, thereby hitting the 50k mark as efficiently as possible. This use of guild resources and player cooperation in such a way has made Rampages for some the heart and soul of the Conquest experience, being not only the most widely accessible form of Conquest to both new and returning players, but also showing Rampages up to be more of a communal experience rather than one's own mindless contribution to the individual Conquest. I would justify that Rampages mean a lot to guilds. It firstly encourages great teamwork, and secondly requires constant hard work to best optimize. I would further argue that Rampages as they stand define the current Conquest meta. Moving on from Rampages, we have crafting and mat farming. large conquest guilds spend hundreds of millions in resources and credits to fund and produce crafting assets to further bolster their own crafting efforts. Crafting is the next key element of Conquest. Players through crafting objectives can farm mats and crafting resources to build distinctive war supplies and equipment for use in weekly Conquest progression. There are even specific Conquest tailored resources for players to craft. These include invasion forces, war supplies, and dark projects. Upon crafting these select items, players will receive a significant Conquest point boost, and can, depending on the resources available to them, continue to craft indefinitely, thus maintaining a constant flow of Conquest points throughout their various farming methods. This, as you can imagine, pairs really well with Galactic Rampage, enabling players to receive 2 sources of Conquest points at any one time. Beyond the daily crafting and PvE farm, players can also achieve their personal Conquest milestone by executing content objectives, whereas various forms of content within the SWTOR MMO, including both PvP and PvE, can contribute towards one's own personal conquest. This includes a plethora of content spanning flashpoints, operations, war zones, misc objectives, and even small tasks like placing decorations in one stronghold or using the taxi to traverse the game world. Most casual players can achieve their personal conquest with ease through these various methods, therefore receiving planetary rewards without the hassle of joining large rampage groups or crafting expensive war supplies, making conquest viable for any style of player. The only difference to these methods is the rate at which a guild or player earns conquest points, which might have you wondering why players continue to farm past their conquest milestone, and the answer is simple. It is to compete on the conquest leaderboards. Completing personal conquest objectives adds points to the individual's conquest milestone, as well as the guild's total conquest pool, which is calculated automatically. The game tallies up the combined points of every toon within the guild and posts the results on the conquest leaderboards, viewable in-game within the log menu under the Guild Invasion tab. As stated, you can continue to go over your personal conquest threshold if your aim is to rank up on the guild leaderboards, and effectively compete with other guilds in an effort to conquer a planet. And with that said, it is important to discuss the different types of planets and the conquest yields. Depending on the planet, every conquest is split into either a small, medium, or large yield. Personal conquest requires 50,000 conquest points. At the time of making this video, it has been 15,000 in the past and may change in future. Regardless of the point gain, it takes roughly half an hour to an hour to achieve personal conquest optimally per toon. Guild minimums or guild yields tend to reflect this. For example, small yields require 500,000 conquest points, medium yields require 2 million, and large yields require 5 million conquest points. This further reflects the size of the guild that should be attempting to seize control of the planet. Small yield planets tend to be for smaller community guilds. These are either new guilds just starting out, or guilds that don't have the time to achieve higher conquest scores. Whilst large yield planets tend to feature more aggressive, large-scale organizations aiming to topple the leaderboards. The large yield, therefore, is the more competitive field, which brings us to the end game, the guilds that fight for large yield conquest. Whilst achieving my own conquest goals and exploring this unique endgame system, I found myself running with various conquest guilds on both the North American and European servers. I even encountered some guild leaders and officers who were willing to discuss their passion for conquest and further help paint a picture for both new and returning players.
I think one of the best is when we have the whole guild doing everything all at once. You got somebody like me that'll sit there and craft war supplies and flip tunes and like do that, and then you got the guild doing stuff to, like, you know, back in the time there was a KP farm. We used to do that a lot. It was the KP mob farm until they nerfed that because, well, that's an exploit, I'm not gonna lie, but everybody was using it. It was fun, it was enjoyable, it gave the guild something to do. Crafting is another really good way, but Rampage is probably the best way to do conquest. And probably the most lucrative way, and I think Rampage, because the one thing I do like about their new system is the fact that every planet has a rampage.
My favorite conquest memory has probably just been goofing around on Alderaan, just murdering everything from zone to zone. Since I'm not a very hardcore player personally, I'd usually just take it the easy way and just do a lot of heroics and flashpoints with friends. By all means, every single member and officer I maintain always are looking for someone to help or to start a group. It's very easy to find a group in the guild currently. During Double XP, it was just non-stop. Just every day, every hour, we're doing something.
And I tried to tell him, man, this is the future. I said, this is not going anywhere. I said, how much loot do you need from these damn ops? I mean, how many tunes you gonna gear out? You gonna play this game the rest of your life? You know? It's like, come on, man, let's get this conquest. I couldn't talk them into it, man, so I left them. Yeah, as much as I liked raiding, I love conquest more. And then I joined this one guild, and I couldn't get the members, the guild leader, nobody interested in it. So what I did, I offered them each 100,000 credits if they would just get their weekly gold. And I said, on any tunes, as many tunes as you want, just get the weekly gold, and I'll give you 100,000 credits. They all did it, and we won the planet that week. And I mean, at 715, we'd already have about 20 million just from crafting, because we had like 20 dedicated crafters, and they crafted non-stop. I mean, for 7 days they crafted. It would be in the hundreds of millions. After we did every damn thing we could do, conquered every planet that existed at that time, won the title, you know, people's got bored. And that's when the guild just dissolved. The guilds that came on the scene was Unchained Wrath and You Ain't Sit. And You Ain't Sit, they had the baddest name ever known in this game, You Ain't Sit, and they were the baddest guild. I mean, nobody beat them. I mean, they whooped everybody's ass. I remember once, them and Unchained Wrath went up for this planet that had never been up, and they went up against each other. Them boys, they had close to 200 million each conquest. I mean, they were kicking. It went down to the wire, but You Ain't Sit beat them. But see, those guilds died off too. And come the 21st, we taking that slot.
Every week, the Conquest resets with a new selection of planets and a new list of objectives, enabling players to eventually conquer all the planets in Star Wars: The Old Republic, which is no easy task, requiring guilds to work together, share and collaborate with one another to top the leaderboards, and eventually earn a unique title, one only given to the most hard-working conquestors, this title being the Galaxy Conqueror, a title rewarded to a player who has achieved their own personal conquest milestone in various guilds that have conquered each respective conquestable planets in the game. This requires weeks to months of strategy, accompanied with clever toon placement and this aforementioned collaboration between both players and their guilds. To all of you Galaxy Conquerors out there, congratulations on your hard work, and to all the guilds that actively compete to place on the leaderboards, thank you so much for competing and motivating the SWTOR community to grow and play on a daily basis. Also, thank you to all my viewers for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to drop a comment in the comment section down below. Would love to know what you think of Conquest and the recent changes that came with update 6.0. As a side note, I'm planning to upload a new episode of Law's Legendary playthrough every Tuesday alongside SWTOR's reset for the next month, so be sure to stay tuned for more casual content. Anyway, thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys.